And for our final speaker of the day, we'll have Captain Amy Power and Defence Force Recruiting.
Hi everyone. So my name is Captain Amy Power. I am an aeronautical engineer in the Army. So my job is to make sure Army's helicopters work and are safe and available for pilots to fly around doing their various jobs. So that's my job. But today we're here to talk about comms, IT and intelligence, which is kind of our IT and ICT suite of jobs that the Defence Force has. Oh, cool. All right, so firstly, quick bit about what the ADF does. So the Australian Defence Force is split into 3 different services. The Army, which is the service I'm in, which is our land force, but we have helicopters as well. The Navy, which do all of the ship and sea stuff, and the Air Force, which do all of our flying. Our job is to defend Australia and her interests. So we do this by operating overseas in war zones, by defending Australia and her borders, and by helping out with humanitarian aid and disaster relief, both domestically and internationally, as well as doing things like border protection, counter-terrorism, and things like that. So we do a lot of different jobs for the Australian public, but our main role is to defend Australia. There are 2 different entry pathways into defence, and this is for all 3 of the services. So we have general entry, which if you imagine a sport team, general entry are like our players, right? They are the ones that do the work. So they are the ones operating the radios, and they are the ones driving the trucks and shooting the weapons. All of that hands-on stuff is done by our soldiers, sailors, and aviators. Then we have our officer stream, which are our leaders and managers. These are the coaches of our teams. These are the ones making sure that everybody is working together to achieve a common goal. Most of our officers are our professions. So I'm an engineer and an officer, doctors, nurses, lawyers, all officers as well. So the Defence Force has 270 jobs divided into 9 categories. So you can see the categories up there. I'm over here in engineering, but we have aviation, combat and security, trade and apprenticeships. So we have a lot of different job roles available in the Defence Force, but we are here to talk about IT. So here is a selection of our IT roles. So you can do IT jobs in all of our services. You can do them as a soldier, sailor or aviator, or as an officer, and there are lots of different areas that you can go into and specialisations you can have. Most of these, in fact all of these, do not require a degree. So you can come and Defence can pay for you to get one, but if you would like a job where you don't need to get a degree, we also have lots of those available as well. It really just depends on what your interests are. So in the Navy, you can do these jobs. Does everyone know what battleships is? Okay, cool. I was just hoping that wasn't an old person reference. So in the Navy, you can be a sonar operator, which is basically like real life battleships. So these are the people that operate our sonars to find submarines. So you operate on warships, you get to sit in a super secret room with the sonar equipment, and you find submarines. So that's sonar operator. That's one of our jobs in the Navy. In the Army, you can operate drones. So the Air Force might have all of our planes, but the Army have the drones. So if you would like to be a drone operator, we have that. It's a soldier job. What we do is we go out field and we deploy shipping containers with all of the electronics in them, and you sit in the shipping containers and you fly drones. You work closely with intelligence to gather information for the soldiers on the ground. So you can fly drones for the Army, and we have lots of different kinds. The biggest is called a Shadow 200, and then the smallest are like the size of this microphone. If you would like to join the Air Force, you can be a cyber warfare analyst, which is the people that do the cyber warfare stuff. So I doubt you guys were interested in the budget last week, but the government is putting a lot of money into Australia's cyber warfare area, so we can defend Australia against cyber threats. So we have our own cyber warfare division. They operate out of Canberra, out of various units. Most of them are in the Air Force, and it is a way to know a bunch of secrets about a bunch of different things. So these are just some of the IT jobs available. In the Army, you can work in signals. Did you guys know that the Army have its own NBN capability? We can put a brigade, which is about 3,000 people, out in a field environment. We run our own power, our own internet, our own phone system, and our own satellite system. And if you are outfield in a brigade environment, you can call on your phone, which the signals guys have set up for you. You can call the help desk for signals help with your laptop, completely independent of Telstra and Optus and things like that. So there are lots of really cool jobs to do, both hands-on work, planning work, work on ships, work on planes, all of that kind of thing in the IT area. So on top of the cool jobs you can have, finding submarines and defending Australia against cyber threats, being in the defence has a lot of other advantages. It's a really great lifestyle. You get paid really well. You get to do a lot of sport and PT, physical training. That's all included in the time that you spend at work. And you get to travel and things like that. So, the Army have sent me to America, to Papua New Guinea, to Mount Isa, and a bunch of really small towns in Australia. I have seen almost all of regional South Australia. So you get to go to a lot of different places, you get to do a lot of travel, and you get to work on equipment that you probably won't get to work on in a civilian life. I don't know what sounds more interesting, but I think it's, setting up NBN cabling in a field environment, completely independently. I just think it's cool. Little bit of a plug for the Army Reserves too. If you are, say, going to university and you want to make a little bit of extra money, you can come join the Army Reserves. It's 20 days a year to 100. It's tax-free money, and you get to do something really cool. Lots of people join the reserves to do something they're not doing in their civilian jobs. I once knew a neurosurgeon who was a driver in the Army. He just liked to come out and drive a truck and not think about things for a while. So, we have reserves as well, which is a really great way of making some money through university, as well as giving back to your community. We also have a gap year program, so if you think you might be interested but you don't want to commit to 3 or 4 years in the military, you can join our gap year program, which is 1 year. You sign up during year 12, and then you go after year 12. You get paid about $80,000 for the year, and you get to try one of these jobs. Popular ones include combat stream in the Army, sailor in the Navy. You can try being an electronics engineer, so you can give being an engineer a go without actually having to get an engineering degree, and then you can go and get your engineering degree afterwards. Aviation support technician, that's a trade job. So if you want to spend a year after university working on fast jets as a tradie, we can absolutely do that. There is fitness standards to get in. Have a quick look. You have to do push-ups to get into the Army because we love push-ups. Cannot stress that enough. Love them. But the standards for Air Force and Navy are a tiny bit lower. And that's just the application process. If you are interested in any one of our jobs, your best bet is to go on defencejobs.gov.au. It lists all of our jobs. It puts them in those 9 categories we saw earlier. So if you're interested in IT jobs, you can click on IT, comms and intelligence and have a look at all the things we have on offer. It'll also tell you the minimum education requirements and things like that, so you can have a look at what you need to get these jobs. Sweet, that's the end of my presentation. So, questions? You, over there. The gap year programs are also listed on Defence Jobs. They are currently open now. So if you are in year 12, you can have a look. You need to be 18 years old when you complete training, and you need to finish year 12 for those programs. Boy in the front.
Are there any high school programs for anything?
If you are interested in coming out to have a look at a base, Defence Force Recruiting, the organisation I work for, doesn't run that, but Defence Work Experience does. So if you look up Defence Work Experience on the internet, they will have a list of bases that are offering work experience, and they're like a week long, a day to a week depending, and you can go out to Enoggera or Amberley, the RAF base, and have a look around. So they do offer those, just a different organisation, so you've got to look that up specifically.
Are there...
Yeah. you sir. There's one more. You go.
Are there IT jobs that don't require you to go out into the field?
Yes, so field is mostly army. We in the army are our land force, so we do love going out field and living in a tent. Personally, I prefer it. I've been on a Navy ship and it's not for me. But yes, ICT jobs in the Navy will require you to go on a ship, and Air Force generally do the least field time out of all the services for reasons I won't get into because I'm kind of mean about it. But no, not all of them do. The 3 different services have 3 different roles. So if you're interested in perhaps joining the military, but you're not that interested in getting really dirty and hanging out in a tent, Air Force. So yes, that boy.
So like, how do mental disabilities affect your ability to get into the army?
So there are some requirements. I don't know all of them. They don't tell us because they don't want us to say no to someone that could join. So the best way to find out is to go on the Defence Jobs website, put an EOI in, and then we'll let you know. This boy over here. Go.
Out of all of the cyber and ICT jobs, I'm questioning cyber defense work. How would they attack you cyberly? Like, what do they actually specifically target?
I cannot tell you that. It's a secret. No, so, you know, it's a secret. But we have our own computer systems, we have our own secret networks, we have a bunch of things that are obviously quite secret. We work closely with ASIO and other government organisations. So I don't know a lot about cyber because we operate on a need-to-know principle and I don't need to know. But you would be defending Australia and our interests, and if you were interested, you should join up and then you get to find out all the secrets. I think you were next? Yep. No, up to, that one.
What part of the military is the hardest to get into? So like Army, Navy, Marines, Green Berets?
We don't have Marines or Green Berets in the Australian. We only have the 3 services. It really depends. You can join the Commandos, which are our Special Forces element in Sydney, straight off the street, and I hear that's quite competitive. But it really depends. Some roles are more competitive than others because they have less availabilities. But I would go what your interests are over how hard it is to get in. And then, yes, it was you down with the beard.
You said that the sonar operators are in the top secret room.
What's the question?
It's a very top secret, isn't it?
No, so the room is top secret. I know about the room, but I don't know what goes on in the room, you know what I mean? So I know they exist, but I don't know what they do and I wouldn't be allowed in. It's not a secret that we have them, we advertise it on the internet. What they do and how they operate is the secret. Yes? See, that goes back a really long way, and it's a bit of a competition between the Air Force and the Army. So the Army used to have fixed-wing aircraft, and in a long and complicated back and forth with the Air Force, we lost those, and in exchange, they gave us helicopters and drones. It's because they're more useful for the Army, right? The Air Force are very concerned with high-level flying activities, so large cargo planes, fast jets, those kinds of things. Drones are really, really helpful for soldiers on the ground because they are quick to deploy, they are lightweight. You know, infantry platoons have their own drones that they can fly around and get intel of, you know, what's over the next hill and what's in the next building. So Army operate the drones because they are more useful to the Army. Yes, you.
If we join the Army Reserve, what would we be doing for the 20 days?
So you join the Army Reserve into a particular job. So you could join the Army Reserve as a signals soldier, and you would go and you would do signals work. You would practice your skills. You might go on exercises where you operate as a signals soldier. You might deploy to humanitarian aid and disaster relief, bushfire assist in 2020. That was mostly reserves. So reserves do a bunch of different functions. I guess generally and historically, reserves' jobs is to defend Australia on Australian soil. The full-time army defend Australia off Australian soil. So that's the difference. But you would join to do a job. So you could be a truck driver, you could be an engineer, you could be a combat engineer. There's all sorts of different jobs you can do for the reserves. Yes?
In the gap year, is it 80 grand for every single job a minimum, or is that a maximum?
So the jobs do differ a little bit. You'll get more money in the Navy if that interests you, because the Navy gets something called seagoing allowance. There is also the flight attendant job in the Air Force. They get more money because they get flying allowance. So it varies, but you're looking at between $70,000 to $80,000. They do vary job by job. Yes, I think you were next.
When you're doing your gap year, does that 1 year include your basic and intermediate training?
Depending on the job role, it includes some basic training and some job training. Obviously, for some of the jobs, so you can get a taste of what it is to be a technician in the Air Force, but being a technician full-time in the Air Force is 3 or 4 years of study. So you don't get all of it. Okay, so you'll get some of it, and then at the end of that year, if you choose to stay, we'll gap the rest of the training for you. All right, I have time for 2 more questions. So we're going to go with you up the back. So your teachers are all here, so yes, absolutely. So most of our soldier, sailor and aviator jobs, you need to finish year 10 with a pass in maths and English. For our officer jobs, you need to finish year 12 with a pass in English. And you can't join until you're 17 years old. So, finish high school and then come join. But no, technically no. I think this will be the last one, middle, up the back. Yes, you get to choose what kind of job you do for all of our jobs. So you go online, you have a look, and you pick one and you apply for that job. So you will get to choose what job you do. There are some small exceptions. If you just want to join the army, you can just kind of rock up and we'll give you a job. But for the most part, yes, you absolutely get to pick the job you're going to do. All right, unfortunately, I can't take any more questions because my time is up. But thank you all so much for listening to me talk. Have a great afternoon. Thank you very much.